Okay, so we're going to be installing the intake and the valve covers. The valve covers are just sitting on there. I need to put a gasket under them and then bolt them down. I got a few other things that got to go on there with the valve covers, so we got to figure that out. But I've got towels in all my holes. I'm just going to run through and clean this up where the intake goes. The valve covers are already cleaned up. So I'm just going to do a quick, I think this is cleaned up before anyway. I just got some paint on there, but I'm going to do that. We'll vacuum this all up, pull all this paper out, and we'll drop it in. I got some nice Velcro gaskets for this stuff. Don't cheap out, guys. Get good gaskets when you do this. You don't want to do this again. Okay, so when you're using this tool like this, you gotta be careful. You're not looking to take metal off, you're just trying to make that smooth. Take all the old gasket or whatever that might be on the surface. Okay, so I've got everything pretty much cleaned up here. I'm just wiping the surface here with some lacquer thinner. You know, you can use whatever you want, brake clean or whatever. I'm just going to clean this off and try to get this as clean as I can with a gasket. I already blew out my holes. Probably a good idea to go in there and clean them out if you got a cleaner. We don't really have a Tino cleaner, we have a tap. But I'm going to get the rest of this cleaned off here. And then, this is pretty exciting, sealing this motor up. It's been open for quite some time. I think I'm going to wait for my dad to help drop this intake on. Okay, so I've removed the headers, removed the spark plugs, and I sprayed a little bit of blaster in the spark plug hole. This engine last ran, I believe it's been about 20 years ago. The car has always been in the shop. It's been in a temperature controlled situation. But even though you're in a shop, you still get humidity and stuff. So I just wanted something in there to kind of lubricate. Because I'm going to be turning this thing over. I got new torque converter bolts we got to stick in. And we just want to kind of turn it over too, because like it hasn't moved in a long time. But we got a new balancer for it. The old one was kind of, the rubber was cracking. We didn't want it to come apart on the road at some point. Also a new ARP balancer bolt is in there. We've got new gaskets for the water pump. And like I said, new torque converter bolts, and putting them in. Gonna raise it up here and do that. But once I do that, I guess we can drop that intake on. Like I said, I want Dad to be here because it's kind of a big moment for us to kind of seal this motor back up and think about getting it started. Okay, so I'm getting ready to put this intake on. I'm just going to add a small amount of RTV to these corners here, and then just a little bit on the surface itself. I'm going to take my gaskets, set them in place. I'm going to add a little bit of more RTV on this corner. Or all these corners, I guess. I'm going to take my intake gaskets. I'm going to set them in place here. It says right on them this side up, so I'll follow the directions. Alrighty. Now the intake. You want to slowly drop this thing down. You don't really want to move it around much once you get it set in there. What's nice about aluminum is it's really light. I like to do my four corners here to make sure the intake's where it needs to be. in there. You're going to torque them. I can't find the torque right now. It doesn't say in the service manual for some reason. But you're going to torque these bolts starting from the center and working your way out. So you're going to do this one, then this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, that one, and then your outside ones. These bolts in the center are notoriously hard to get to with any kind of a wrench. I got the small wrench here and I still can't get to them. So those are, you know, try to find something that you can get on them. So that's pretty much an intake job or install on one of these old engines. I looked on my 73 to 87 book. I don't really have a Camaro book. And 30 foot-pounds is what them intake bolts are torqued at with those engines. So I imagine it's the same. The problem is getting a torque wrench into these two center ones is pretty much impossible. So I think a lot of guys just hand do it, kind of hand feel it and tighten it up. But yeah, that's it. It's looking pretty awesome, guys. I don't have the covers mounted with bolts yet. I need to get a little longer bolts for this side because I've got some nice holders, spark plug wire holders that are going over here. So once I get the longer bolts, I'll be able to set that in place. And I'll be able to get the headers back installed, spark plugs in place. I've got the motor up on top dead center, number 1. So we should be ready to actually drop that distributor down in there and get that close to where we need it. So it's all coming together, guys. Dad's got the power steering pump. He cleaned it up, painted it. We may run that one for a little while. We'll see how it works out. He didn't have any trouble with it when he run it before, but who knows, it could be leaking. We've got a new alternator. Got a new alternator chrome. It's a Proform alternator. Actually it's a 1-wire alternator. We've got an adapter kit that because this car had an externally regulated alternator, so we actually got a new wiring kit for the engine bay here, most of it anyway, and we've got the conversion to run alternator with an internally regulated deal on it. So that should work with what we got there. I don't know if I showed this here, the Pertronix. This is our new distributor. That's going in there. It looks like a points type distributor, but it really is an HEI distributor. It just looks like a one with points. MSD, I got to make my own. That's really the only way to do it if you want a nice clean look. They come with one end already made, and then you got to run them. Like I said, I got to get my little holders. My holders all set up. This is what I picked up. Might as well show you. Aluminum holders. R&M, I guess. I got this from Summit Racing. They're gonna hold the wires really nice. So I got to get that on there. But it's pretty awesome looking, guys. Getting this thing buttoned up. She's gonna be firing up before long here. Okay, so dropping the distributor in. Because I have the motor on top dead center, a number 1 cylinder on the compression stroke, figured we drop the distributor in and get it lined up on what we want to make number 1. I think I got to adjust that because I really don't like the way it's sitting. I think I'd like it to turn a little bit more this way. But anyway, had trouble getting this distributor in. We thought something was wrong with the parts or whatever, but it actually turned out I had to loosen all the bolts on the intake, and I had to slide the intake back. I mean slightly, just slightly. Had to slide it back, and then the distributor dropped right on. I've never had that issue before. I've put quite a few of these Performer intakes on my Chevy trucks when I had them, and I've always just dropped them on, and I never really had any trouble. But this one must have shifted forward or something at some point or whatever. But I guess what I'm saying is, make sure your bolts, I guess, are centered in the holes. I've always figured that once you get them all in, you know, the intake, there really isn't much movement, but apparently there is. This is a used intake, so maybe someone messed with the holes or something. It didn't look like it. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out just in case you guys ever run into that. Me and Dad, we've never run into that. We were scratching our heads trying to figure this out, why that distributor wouldn't drop in. We thought it was the oil drive shaft holding us up, and I turned it and turned it and turned it trying to get it on. But anyway, got it dropped on. Just wanted to throw that little tip out there for anybody that's doing this, so you ain't got to scratch your heads maybe for as long as we did. Okay, so working on getting the power steering pump back into place here. It actually bolts to the water pump right there, and it swivels on that. That's so you can tighten up your belt. You got a bracket here that's got a bolt. I don't know if I can get it to move. I got it tight. But there's a slot right here, and this goes up and down so you can tighten up your bolt. I had to make all this right here. This bracket that held this actually went to the header, or it went to the exhaust manifold, the factory exhaust manifold. Wasn't going to work for these headers that we got. So I had to make this bracket here that I welded to the original bracket, and it goes up to this head bolt right here. I think it looks pretty good right there. The other bolt for this bracket goes down and around. It actually bolts to the motor mount right there, the motor mount bolt that goes into the block. So kind of interesting. We didn't know that bracket did that, but it's been a long time since this motor's been apart. Also trying to figure out where the alternator sits, and this is the bracket, original bracket, came off Dad's car. It goes to the water neck, thermostat housing. Another bolt goes to the water pump here. You got your alternator is going to slide on this so you can tighten it up. Other bolt is going to go into the head right there. There's a spacer that goes on the back of the alternator, and a big long bolt that goes through. So we think we've got everything figured out as far as accessories in the front of the motor. We're working on getting all the pulleys cleaned up. Dad's working on that, painting them. So we'll have that. We got the fan. We got the factory fan for now. He's got it all painted up. We just need the pulleys. And we gotta get the fan shroud out. Probably clean that up too. Probably just use the factory stuff for now. We can always upgrade later. Okay, so we picked up this chrome alternator. This is also a Proform alternator. It is also at the local auto parts Advance / CarQuest. This is a pretty piece, guys. It's not a high output alternator at all. I think 100 amps is what it's rated for. Should be fine for the car. We're not adding all kinds of electrical stuff. It's a 70, and it doesn't have much electrical stuff. So this is what we went with. Gonna have to do some modifications to the bracket for the spacer, but anyway, should be a good piece. It is a one wire internally regulated alternator, which is where we're going with this. Okay, so to run this alternator, I'm having to modify the spacer that's used to bolt the alternator to the head of the engine. This is the original bracket off Dad's car, 70 bracket, and you can see the depth is different, the length is different, and this is the only mounting hole in the back of this alternator. So I'm gonna have to modify this. I probably could have just cut this off. All we needed really is the spacer. I think they bolt these onto the alternators at the factory. That was just to speed up time, I think. But anyway, I got a little piece here I'm gonna make, and we'll bolt it on like they did, I guess. Got my alternator all protected. This thing is such nice shiny chrome that I didn't want to mess with it or wreck it. So I'll get my piece in there. We'll start modifying this. Ooh, I like it, guys. Oh, that looks good. With that orange, that chrome just pops. Anyway, there's the bracket. Looks good, I think. Everything is coming together, guys. Only thing is now, I gotta pull that off. Gotta paint that bracket. Gotta pull the pump off. Gotta paint that bracket. So, everything gets to come off that I just stuck on. I guess that's the way it is, guys. Okay, so almost forgot about this bracket here that bolts to the water pump and goes to the alternator here. So got that one in place, found it. Installed the water pump pulley and found some issues here. For one, doesn't really look like they're lining up because the alternator and the water pump run on the same belt and go down to the crank. So they don't really look like they line up very good. And another thing is, I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up on camera there. The water pump pulley is wobbling. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's wobbling. So I don't know, I went in the old shed looking for a pulley off of one of my 70s trucks, and I can't. Well, I can find some stuff, but they're all multiple grooves. So we got no single pulleys. So we may have to end up ordering that one. I don't know why it wouldn't line up. This alternator, we looked at it, besides this mount here being different, the alternator was the same as the old one. So I don't know. We'll have to do some thinking here. Okay, so after installing the crank pulley, it looks like the water pump pulley is lined up with that. So the problem is, looks like the alternator. So we're just gonna put a couple washers to push the alternator mount out a little bit to get it lined up with the water pump. And then I'm gonna go ahead and order a new water pump pulley just because I don't like the fact that it's wobbling. So we'll get a new one of those, probably aluminum. It's probably not going to show up in time for the first start, so we'll probably be running this one for now. Okay, so I think I'm going to end the video here, guys, and get this out to you. I know the engine isn't completely assembled here. A few little things. We got a billet oil cap. I need to get the right grommet to fit that in there. Just test fitted the wire loom separators, or the spark plug separator, and I think that's gonna look good. It's polished aluminum, and it's got some holders, and it's just gonna hold all the wires real nice and neat. Dad's got the water or the heater hose nipple on there. We've got the one plugged over here with a brass fitting. I don't have the EGR block off plate, but we're looking for a gasket for that. For some reason we can't find that. I got to swap out the hold down bolt with the stainless one. I don't know if we'll be able to find a billet one in time for the first fire or not, but we've got the transmission kickdown bracket that goes on the bolts, so I got to retorque them. It's just it's the kickdown for the turbo 350 transmission. There is another bracket, I believe, for the throttle cable, which will come through the firewall right there. It'll hold it somewhere here. Right here is the bracket for the coil. It's gonna go somewhere there like that. Kind of an odd place for it, but that's where it goes. We got the fitting that goes right there for the brake booster vacuum, and then it's got another vacuum port. I think that goes to the carburetor. I don't know if we're going to need that or not, but that needs to be threaded in there. And then you got this fitting here. You got a hard line. This hard line here bolts to that, and then you run a rubber line from this to your brake booster. So we're getting there, guys. I got my Pcv valve in place there. I'm not sure where that's going to go. But I got the aluminum spark plug wire holder there in place. The dipstick was getting in the way there, so I had to rotate it downward. I don't think that's going to affect anything. Should work out just fine right there. Got the bracket painted and bolted up here. Just kind of waiting for... we need to go get some... We're going to put a new return line on that power steering pump. We should have ordered a new pressure line. It looks okay. Like I said, we're going to try to fire this thing soon. So we're probably just going to run the old one for now, and we'll have to take it off and swap it out if we get a new one. And then the fan, we got to put the fan on here and the shroud. So, like I said, I'm going to get this one out to you. I got to adjust that distributor. I want to change that number 1. I want to rotate it so it doesn't interfere with the coil that's going to sit there. We've got a Chrome Excel Super Stock. Dad's had this for a long time. So we're going to run it. Hopefully it'll work with that Pertronix distributor. Okay, so I got the radiator hoses fitted. This upper one. These are just factory 70 Camaro hoses, and then I kind of trimmed them up to work with what we've got. I don't have my shroud on there yet, but I'm pretty sure that's how that one's going to go. Got the bottom one on. Again, had to trim some off of that to get it to fit. Otherwise, it was kind of kinking. But it's they worked out. They are factory 70 Camaro preformed hoses with some trimming done. But they seem like they're gonna work out. Just need to get some nice clamps for all the ends, and we'll be good to go. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get this one out to you. Hopefully you enjoyed this little assembly. I know it's getting closer and closer for the first fire, and we really can't wait. We're really getting excited. So, I guess, guys, I'll see you in the next one.